Manasseh Nshuti, Minister of State for East African Community Affairs of the Republic of Uganda, representing His Excellency Paul Kagame. Honorable Dr. Peter Mutuku Mathuki, Secretary General of the East African Community Affairs. Honorable Colonel Sadio Kamara, Minister of State, Minister of Defense of the Republic of Mali. Your Excellency is leading a delegation of other 6 senior officials. Your Excellency, these are your special guests. Ms. Nafisatu is a special guest from Kuwait. Mr. Meshal J. Al-Saba is also a special guest from Kuwait. Mr. Arnold Roget, Your Excellency, is also a special guest. Celine El Abed is also a special guest. Emma Gordon is also a special guest. Honorable Serada Mohammed Abdallah, Your Excellency, is also a special guest. Guledi Abinasir is also a special guest. And Enrica Pinetti is also a special guest. Your Excellency, the theme for this year's independence anniversary is a declaration of African interdependence and our shared destiny. Your Excellency the President and the visiting heads of state and government, all Ugandans in attendance here and online, ladies and gentlemen, please join me to thank the Almighty God for enabling Uganda to attain 60 years of independence today and for giving abundant life to our dear President, His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who has sacrificed a great deal to serve his country. Your Excellency, sir, you will always be our hero for the peace and stability we now enjoy, for the clear-headed and visionary leadership, and for the great milestone attained in transforming Uganda and the East African region as a whole. Your Excellency, you are a very special person, and you wish well Uganda and East Africa. The good reception you received while in Rwanda, in Southern Sudan, and recently in Nairobi, Kenya, during the inauguration of His Excellency Dr. William Ruto as President of the Republic of Kenya, who described you as the father of the region, are a testimony to your statesmanship. His Excellency President Ruto's words cannot be taken for granted. Indeed, you are a real statesman, a freedom fighter, and the father of the region, not only because of your age, but largely your continuous guidance on issues of leadership, security, and integration of the region. Your Excellency, it is also testimony of how much the people of the region trust and have hope in you, especially to steer the road to full East African integration. Indeed, it will be such a wonderful experience to realize this full integration during your lifetime. You have invested a great deal of your time marketing the values of East African integration, and now that the region is stable, on behalf of all Ugandans, Your Excellency, who are here today, and those following the various media platforms, I hereby make a passionate appeal to all the East African heads of state to expedite the issue of East African integration. The process has been so slow that it can be said that some of the challenges we face now are attributed to this delay. Lastly, Your Excellency, on behalf of all Ugandans who may not have had the chance to speak through this microphone, and indeed on my behalf, I wish to express our solidarity with you regarding the matter of the oil pipeline. Ugandans are with you in all your plans to develop our motherland. In the book of Psalms, chapter 33, verse 10, the Lord says that he will destroy the ill plans of the nations and fail the bad missions of the actors. Your Excellency, all the evil plans against our oil project by those who are not so kind to us will not succeed. At the end of the day, we will be victorious. It is said that lies move faster than the truth. However, when the truth overtakes the lies, it completely overshadows it. At this juncture, Your Excellency, and in view of the time constraints, allow me, sir, to invite you to come and address the nation. I thank you all.
His Excellency President Ndayishimiye, President of the Republic of Burundi, and Chairperson of the East African Community now, His Excellency General Salva Kiir Mayardit, President of the Republic of South Sudan, you people, when you call your vehicle, these buses which are here, you call them Kira. That is the name of General Salva Kiir. Kiir in their language is the same as Kira. Because in their language it means, Kiir means the knife. And that's what it means here. His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, the newly elected President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Sheikh Hussein, the President of the Federal Republic of Somalia, His Excellency Hussein Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar, representing Her Excellency Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, the Deputy Prime Minister from Congo, the Minister from the Republic of Rwanda, representing His Excellency Paul Kagame, the Secretary General of the East African Community, and all the other invited guests. Your Excellencies, we are still observing semi-lockdown for Corona. Therefore, this celebration is not open to the public. They are watching from the TVs. The people you see here are all invited people, mainly leaders from the districts who are representing their people. But the country is following on television because we are still fighting Corona, and also this is now Ebola, but by the time we planned this, there was no Ebola, it was mainly Corona. So therefore, before I speak, I would like to ask three of their excellencies to come here and greet you on behalf of the others and give you some words of advice. The first to speak should be the Mugore. Mugore in our language here means a new couple. And this is Dr. William Ruto, the President of Kenya. And then he will be followed by General Salva Kiir Mayardit, because that one will represent the elders, other than myself. Is the one who comes. He's my young brother, just a bit smaller than me. And then finally, our chairman of the East African Community, His Excellency Ndayishimiye. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Asante sana mzee. Your Excellency, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the great country of Uganda, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, First Lady Mama Janet Museveni, leaders present, distinguished Ugandans, and the great people of East Africa, good afternoon. First, I bring you greetings from your brothers and sisters in Kenya, both Kenyans and Ugandans and East Africans. They have sent me with greetings on this very important day while you celebrate 60 years of your independence. Congratulations, Your Excellency, Mr. President, congratulations, the great people of Uganda. And accompanying those greetings is our commitment to our region. Mzee Museveni, as I said, is our elder. We have tremendous respect for him, and we look up to him to now work so that we can eliminate the borders that separate our people in East Africa and in Africa. It is very clear to us that we cannot share poverty and we cannot share hunger, but we can share opportunity and we can share prosperity. It is our place as leaders and as citizens of the East Africa region for us to work together so that we can transform our borders, which today stand out as barriers, and convert them to bridges so that goods, services, and people can move across this East Africa without any impediments. Your Excellency, as our elder, President Museveni, you have the challenge to lead the charge on ensuring that we bring down the boundaries and the borders and the barriers so that we can have a borderless East Africa community. We are looking in our lifetime, in the next few years, that people, goods, and services can move across this East Africa as we lead the way in ensuring that the Africa Continental Free Trade Area becomes a reality. Your Excellency, I did instruct the Minister for Trade in Kenya to work with the Minister of Trade in Uganda so that together we can formulate and sign into the guided trade agreement that will facilitate the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to begin to become a reality, and so that we can harness the opportunities for investment, for trade, and for people to work together in our region. Finally, I have a word for our business people. The business people in our region are lagging behind the policymakers. I want to ask our entrepreneurs, our business people, the investor community in our region to take advantage of the infrastructure provided by the EAC and the ACFTA to transform our region. There is absolutely no reason why food cannot be available in our region. If there is food in Uganda, it should find its way to Kenya. If there is opportunity in Kenya, Ugandans should be able to access that opportunity. I am looking forward, Your Excellency, Mr. President, to you leading us in this region so that we can truly build prosperity and harness opportunity in our region for the mutual benefit of the 300 million people in EAC and the 1.2 billion people in the African continent. Your Excellency, to our business community, today we import 1.2 million tons of fertilizer into East Africa community, while we have the raw material for us to manufacture that fertilizer and save ourselves foreign exchange and create opportunity for jobs while we manufacture fertilizer for our own use in this region. We spend $500 million every year to import clinker for our cement manufacture, for our construction. That too, we have the raw materials in Kenya, in Tanzania, and in Uganda to produce clinker, and we can save $500 million from and wealth being exported from our region. Let me also say that we spend another $500 million every year to import steel for construction into our region. We have the raw materials in Uganda, we have gas in Uganda, we have the opportunity in Kenya, we have the raw materials in our region. Our business people should harness those opportunities, leverage on the friendship that we have as East Africans, and save us the foreign exchange and create jobs for the millions of young people in our region so that we can create wealth, we can share opportunity, and we can share prosperity. Your Excellency, with age and with experience comes responsibility. You have the age, you have the experience. Take the responsibility and lead the charge. Asanteni sana, thank you very much, and may the good Lord bless you.
Congratulations. Your Excellency, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Excellencies, members of diplomatic corps and international community, Your Excellencies, representatives of regional and international organizations, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me, on behalf of the people of the Republic of South Sudan, and their government, to congratulate my brother, President Yoweri Museveni, and all the Ugandan people on this occasion of the 60th anniversary of your country's independence. I'm delighted to join you in the celebration of this historic milestone, given the special relationship South Sudan enjoys with our sisterly Republic of Uganda. Let me also recognize and honor the men and women who made ultimate sacrifices 60 years ago to liberate Uganda from colonial rule. Without them, this day would not have come to pass. And through them, Uganda is spearheaded the liberation of many African countries, including South Sudan. As the theme of this celebration states, October 9th, a declaration of African independence and our shared destiny. Africa remains the last global economic frontier with untapped potential in both human and natural resources. This theme calls upon us to dedicate ourselves to the task of pursuing ideals of Pan-Africanism, such as strengthening inter-regional trade and cooperation within our borders. It is only through this that we can achieve our objective of economic prosperity in East Africa and across the continent. As Africans, this must be our century to uplift our people out of the abject poverty, chronic diseases, and ignorance. Guided by our common values and interests to effectively determine our shared destiny, we must strive to build a better future for the next generations and collectively overcome the patronizing foreign control of our affairs. Finally, Your Excellency, I urge my counterparts within the East African community to join hands and work together for the common good of all Africans. I wish you all a happy 60th anniversary celebrations. Thank you all, and may God bless Uganda. Thank you. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, Mama First Lady of Uganda, Your Excellencies, Head of States and Government, Excellencies, Head of Delegation, distinguished guests, all protocol observed, dear people of Uganda, muli bulungi bana Uganda, Uganda oye, independence oye, mbayoza yoza kulunaku luno olukulu. Your Excellency, let me start by thanking God who granted me and my delegation a safe journey up to this beautiful country, Uganda.
On behalf of the Burundian people, the government of Burundi, and on my own behalf, I extend my heartfelt gratitude for such a warm welcome granted to myself and my delegation since we arrived in your beautiful country. Burundi's history and strong brotherhood with Uganda is of inestimable value to our respective people, and we are honored and happy to join you as you celebrate 60 years of independence. Your Excellency, as we all know, Independence Day is always a time to reflect on the milestones of our national history in order to make a fresh start. It is the same thing with us. The history of Uganda has many similarities with the history of Burundi. Your Excellency President, this celebration should be a reminder to all East Africans of the impact of colonization left behind in our countries and knowledge that the worst among them was division. I am sure that here there are Ugandan people came from Burundi, as there are Burundian people came from Uganda before colonization. We are one people. This is our heritage. Unfortunately, yet there are Africans who like to maintain a colonization ideology which came with egoism, nepotism, and imperialism. Excellency, for me, I note that we can only be strong when we come together, when we are one people with one destiny. I wish at this occasion to congratulate you, Excellency, for having managed to heal psychological traumas resulting from dark periods of your nation's history, and for building the Uganda economy to such an extent that my fellow Burundians have found a great market here for some of their daily needs. Burundians will never forget the contribution you made for the return of peace, stability, and democracy in Burundi as chairperson of regional initiative. Thank you again, Your Excellency, for your wise contribution to establish peace in the region. We Burundian people and East African people, we boast of having you as a sage of the region. Your Excellency, in this highly symbolic commemoration, my dearest wish is to see a reintegrated East Africa and a united Africa, and this can only be reached when we are economically, culturally, politically independent and stable. It is high time we strengthen our regional integration and build a more prosperous and powerful East African community having one market and one voice. This is our ultimate goal as East African, realizing the political federation. That is the reason why I commend and congratulate regional companies that have already opened branches in Burundi and encourage others to do the same. Our community is one of the most successful in Africa, and it is my sincere hope that our success will inspire other similar regional settings. Excellence, I would not finish my remark without saying a word about the commendable job we are doing to bring peace and stability in the east of Democratic Republic of Congo. I recently had a meeting with the United Nations Secretary General on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, and he assured me of his full support of the Nairobi initiative. He asked me to personally tell you, together with the head of states of the East African Community member states, that he is proud of your work. He wishes you every success which will bring about the reduction of MONUSCO numbers while strengthening the East African force at the same time. For the sake of peace, nothing should stand on our way towards bringing security to the people of DRC and stabilizing the region. Once again, Your Excellency, I congratulate you. Fe abarundi tubagara nyonyo. Katonda abawe emikasa nemilembe. Asante sana. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Murakoze cyane. Mwebare. God bless you.
President abagambye nti abarundi wano bajjudde bano betuyita baganda basinga barundi Nyakubaho yaravuze ngo abarundi ahangaha ni benshi cyane. We cannot go without hearing a word from the excellencies who are here. His Excellency, the President of Somalia, I would like to invite him to say some words, and His Excellency, President of Zanzibar, His Excellency Mwinyi, and then the Deputy Prime Minister of Congo, and the Minister from Rwanda. It's better they all say something to you.
His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, heads of states and governments, respected dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and a pleasure to be here with you all to celebrate with you the independence of the beautiful and rich land of Uganda and its people. Uganda is a land blessed with human capital, natural resources, and a spirit of success which radiates from the people of Uganda. In this regard, I, on behalf of myself and the Somali government and its people, sincerely congratulate the government and the people of Uganda on the hard-won 60th independence anniversary. Since independence, Somalia and Uganda have been strong allies with a shared agenda and ambition for sustainable development. Our two nations not only share a rich history but a future of common opportunities which we are determined to benefit from the betterment of our two peoples. Our partnership for progress started before the independence of our two nations. Somalia stood by Uganda's independence, and these bonds of friendship broadly continued after the struggle of the independence. Today, Somalia and Uganda face a common enemy in international terrorism. On the security front, Somalia and Uganda and all other troop-contributing countries are laying the foundation for a secure, progressive, and prosperous Somalia and the wider region by actively supporting our government's effort to annihilate Al-Shabaab once and for all. We are grateful to Uganda for training many of our brave security forces who are on the front line in the fight against international terrorism as we are attending this great opportunity this day, this hour. Mr. President, I would like to take this opportunity to express our nation's gratitude for the noble sacrifices of young men and women from Uganda and other troop-contributing countries in our joint fight against international terrorism. We Somalis are deeply conscious of your country's relentless contribution towards our peace building and commemorate those sacrifices with our commitment to peace and prosperous future for generations to come in Somalia. Since the independence, Uganda has come a very long way under the able leadership of President Yoweri Museveni, who has dedicated his life to ensuring the progress of Uganda and its citizens. This is an exemplary step taken towards a nation building. Today, both the government and the people of Uganda are on the right path to sustainable development, and they must be proud of this as we are all with them. In this auspicious day, we look forward to continuing our partnership and cooperation. I wish the Ugandan government and its people even greater success and development in the future to come. I say all Happy Independence Day to all Ugandans. I thank you.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Mr. Kaguta Yoweri Museveni, Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, and our brothers from Uganda, good afternoon. I bring His Excellency President Paul Kagame greetings and that of the people of Rwanda for these celebrations that you have today, 60 years after independence. Your Excellency, some of us have been in Uganda since you took power many years ago. Uganda has transformed beyond recognition. Congratulations, Ugandans, and Your Excellency. Your Excellency, the people of Rwanda and the people of Uganda are brothers and sisters brought together by one unity of purpose and indeed destiny. We wish to remain so forever. Your Excellency, as part of East African community, we applaud your achievements and indeed the unity you have in this country and the one that, of course, you wish to bring in the region. And, of course, you can count on Rwanda to be part of that unity and process. Indeed, with these few remarks, Your Excellency, I again wish the people of Uganda the best over the 60 years now and many years to come. Thank you, Excellency.
Mheshimiwa Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, Rais wa Uganda, waheshimiwa wakuu wa nchi na serikali mliopo hapa, waheshimiwa viongozi mbalimbali, viongozi wa serikali ya Uganda, wageni waalikwa, mabibi na mabwana. Naomba mniruhusu nizungumze kwa lugha ya Afrika Mashariki, lugha ya Kiswahili. Kwanza kabisa napenda nichukue fursa hii nimshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa kutujalia uhai na afya njema na kuweza kukutana leo hapa katika shughuli hii muhimu ya kuadhimisha miaka 60 ya uhuru wa taifa la Uganda. Pili, naleta salamu za pongezi kutoka kwa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, Mheshimiwa Samia Suluhu Hassan, kwako Mheshimiwa Rais Museveni, na kwa wananchi wote wa Uganda. Anakupeni pongezi kubwa sana kwa kuadhimisha siku hii. Aidha, nimesimama hapa kuleta salamu za upendo kutoka kwa wananchi wa Tanzania kwa ndugu zao wananchi wa Uganda kwa kuadhimisha miaka 60 ya uhuru, lakini vile vile kwa kupiga hatua kubwa ya kimaendeleo katika uchumi na kijamii katika kipindi hichi cha miaka 60 ya uhuru. Hongereni sana na kupeni salamu za wananchi ndugu zenu kutoka Tanzania. Leo si siku ya kusema mengi, ni siku ya kutoa pongezi tu kwenu, lakini naomba mniruhusu niseme moja tu la umuhimu mkubwa kwa nchi zetu mbili, nalo linalohusu bomba la mafuta. Na naomba niliseme kwa Kiingereza ili nieleweke vizuri zaidi. Your Excellencies, our two countries are undertaking many joint projects in various fields, notably in the energy and transport sectors. Among those projects is the construction of the East African crude oil pipeline from Hoima, Uganda to Tanga, Tanzania, which is expected to be the longest heated oil pipeline in the world. When completed, this project will not only boost the economy of our two countries, but also create employment, knowledge transfer, skills development, and unlock East African oil potential by attracting investment and improve the livelihoods of our people, or improve the livelihoods of the people of our two countries and the region as a whole. Therefore, I urge the private sector from both countries to take lead in this mega project. Doing so, the private sector will employ our people and bring better life to our communities. In this regard, Tanzania and Uganda should not be deterred by any condemnations made against the project, which are based on misinformation. We should instead remain steadfast in implementing these strategic projects, which will bring huge benefits not only to our two countries but the whole East African region. Baada ya kusema maneno hayo, kwa mara nyingine tena nichukue fursa hii kukupeni hongera, hongera, hongera sana kwa kuadhimisha miaka 60 ya uhuru. Mungu ibariki Uganda, Mungu ibariki Afrika Mashariki, Mungu ibariki Afrika. Asanteni sana kwa kunisikiliza.
Excellences, Monsieur le Président de la République de l'Ouganda, Général Kaguta Museveni, Leurs Excellences, Messieurs les chefs d'État et chefs de délégation, Mesdames et Messieurs, en vos titres et qualités,
Ladies and gentlemen, in your capacities.
Il a plu à son Excellence Félix Antoine Tshisekedi Tshilombo, président de la République démocratique du Congo,
President Tshisekedi, Head of State of the Democratic Republic of Congo,
de me confier la lourde mission de venir transmettre à son homologue et frère, le général Kaguta Museveni, ainsi qu'au peuple ougandais, les félicitations du peuple de la République démocratique du Congo, à l'ensemble du peuple ougandais, à l'occasion de la célébration de cette journée historique qui commémore l'anniversaire de l'indépendance de la République de l'Ouganda.
His Excellency, the President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, has given me this heavy task to come and represent him here, carry a special message to the people of Uganda, and congratulate them upon achieving this 60th independence anniversary.
Il m'a aussi chargé de transmettre au vaillant peuple de l'Ouganda le message de paix et de fraternité.
He has also entrusted me with the task of conveying a message of peace and brotherhood to all the Ugandans.
la paix, parce que notre région, notre espace géographique a longtemps souffert de troubles armés, de conflits armés, de problèmes sécuritaires.
Why peace? Because our region, our geographic area has for a long time suffered from troubles, from wars, and from insecurity.
Ces problèmes méritent que nos efforts soient conjugués, que nous puissions mutualiser nos énergies, nos forces, afin de construire ensemble une paix durable et définitive.
This problem requires us to pull our forces together to work towards restoring peace and ensuring sustainable peace.
À l'est du pays, le sang, à l'est de la République démocratique du Congo, le sang a beaucoup coulé. Dans notre région, le sang a beaucoup coulé.
In Eastern Congo, in our region, blood has been shed.
Il est temps pour le président de la République démocratique du Congo de construire un nouveau monde, de construire une paix durable qui va permettre le décollage de notre région, de nos pays respectifs, qui va permettre à ce que nous puissions léguer à nos enfants une région de paix avec des opportunités de développement et d'émergence.
It is now time for the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo to fix what has gone wrong so that even our children in future find a stable region.
Il a aussi transmis donc un message de fraternité parce que nos pays sont condamnés à vivre ensemble.
He has also sent me to tell you that the message he sent is a message of brotherhood because our countries have been condemned to work together, to live together.
Voisins, nous l'étions hier, voisins, nous le sommes aujourd'hui, voisins, nous le resterons éternellement.
We were neighbors in the past, we are neighbors today, and we shall remain neighbors in the future.
Tout ce qui touche l'Ouganda touche la RDC. Tout ce qui touche la RDC touche l'Ouganda. Nous partageons la même histoire au sein de cet espace géographique et nous partageons donc le même destin.
What affects Uganda affects the Democratic Republic of Congo. What affects the Democratic Republic of Congo affects Uganda. We have a lot to share in this region, in this geographical area.
À l'occasion de cette célébration, nous souhaitons profiter de la grande expérience d'un homme qui a tout vécu, qui maîtrise l'histoire de notre région et qui donc a la responsabilité de veiller à ce que nos enfants, nos arrière-petits-enfants puissent vivre demain dans un monde de paix. Parce que la plus grande bataille qui nous reste à mener, c'est sans nul doute la bataille pour l'avènement d'une paix durable et fraternelle.
On this 60th independence occasion, we should take advantage of the great experience of someone in this region who knows the history very well, and that history is supposed to guide us to ensure that our children and grandchildren live in peace, and that this peace should be sustainable.
C'est donc en agissant ensemble, dans la fraternité, dans la sincérité, que nous réussirons à réconcilier nos différents peuples avec l'avenir et l'espoir d'une vie meilleure.
It is through working together in the spirit of brotherhood that we will succeed to ensure that our children find sustainable peace.
Que vive la République de l'Ouganda. Que vive le peuple de l'Ouganda.
Long live the people of Uganda.
Et que Dieu bénisse à jamais notre continent et notre région. Je dis et je vous remercie.
And may God bless our country. May God bless our region. May God bless us all. I thank you for listening to me.
Excellencies, heads of state and heads of delegation who have been introduced from the brotherly countries of the East African community and from other friendly countries, Their Excellencies, the First Ladies, Her Excellency Vice President of Uganda, Right Honorable Speaker, His Lordship Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers, Members of Parliament, Secretary General of the NRM Party, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I thank their Excellencies, the heads of state, for agreeing to come and share with us this joyous occasion in spite of their busy schedule. I also thank the brother countries that sent delegations. Secondly, I congratulate all Ugandans on this occasion of the 60th anniversary of Uganda's independence. It has been quite an eventful 60 years. Naye abaganda tugamba nti ekitata muyima tekimalako nte. If a muhima does not die, even if the cattle die, he will always get new cattle. In spite of the numerous problems over these 60 years, Uganda is now standing and marching forward. It is not only Uganda that faced problems. So did many African countries, as the president of Burundi was telling you. That is why, on this occasion, I would like to ask the African political class the following two questions. The two historical questions are, number one, are there professors of economics in Africa? Mbuza, waliwo abasoma ebya enyingiza y'amawanga? That is question number one. Are there professors of economics in Africa? Second question, is the African political class determined to build a Latin America in Africa instead of building the United States of Africa in Africa? This generation, 60 years, what are we building? Are we building a Latin America in Africa or a United States of Africa in Africa? And I'm glad many of the leaders have spoken already on this very issue. They have all spoken on it, the ones who are here. Even by the time we defeated Idi Amin in 1979, our thinking on the philosophical, ideological, and strategic issues was well crystallized. Philosophy tries to understand man and his motivations. Ideology deals with the ideas about the management of society, and strategy deals with the methods used to implement whatever plans you have for society. On the side of philosophy, we had, by that time, by the time we defeated Idi Amin, we had discovered that while there may be some altruistic actors in society, the majority of the people were egocentric. Hence, the wisdom of using the private sector in the economy without banishing completely the use of the parastatals. On the side of ideology, we discovered that in order to create prosperity for our people through the production and sale of goods and services, we need to emphasize the four principles. And these are the principles of patriotism, loving Uganda, Pan-Africanism, loving Africa, socio-economic transformation, and democracy. In order to use our understanding of philosophy and our ideology to create prosperity for our people, we evolved a strategy of 10 points program. Point number 5 of that program read as follows, in quotes, building an independent, integrated, and self-sustaining national economy, end of quotes. By that time, we had already discovered that one of Africa's problems has been the curse of confining itself to the export of raw materials, where we always get less than 10% of the actual value of the end product out of those raw materials, and the resultant loss of jobs to the cleverer, led outsiders. The outsiders are better led. They take our raw materials, they get more money out of them, and create jobs for their children. When ours are here dying in the ocean trying to go to Europe. The external parasite groups are always interested in perpetuating that hemorrhage of resources and development energies from Africa to other places. What is most infuriating, however, are the comprador bourgeoisie, agents of foreign interests in Africa, who do two things. First of all, they oppose our value addition efforts so as to frustrate our industrialization efforts. Secondly, they are always importing everything from outside, including trivialities like dead people's hair. It is these processes that have stunted Africa's growth. It is a scandal if there were people to recognize real scandals. You hear people talking of scandals, but they are talking about small scandals. This is a mega centuries-old scandal, which I don't hear anybody talking about, many people talking about. The global value for trade in coffee is US dollars 460 billion. The coffee-growing countries of the whole world get only 25 billion US dollars. And wonderful Africa gets only $2.5 billion from a figure of $460 billion. This is coffee. And much of this $2.5 billion, which is coming to Africa because of coffee, is now going to Uganda, because Uganda is taking $800 million of that. Although we are producing a lot of coffee, 8 million bags, but you hear we are still getting only $800 million out of the $2.5 billion that Africa shares from a figure of 460 billion. So you are getting very little money from coffee. How about automobiles, vehicles? The global automobile business is US dollars 2.86 trillion. Obutabalika bubiri kumpi busatu. Africa's share in the manufacture of vehicles is only $30 billion out of 2.86 trillion. And I think this goes to maybe South Africa or something like that. The global pharmaceutical business is US dollars 1.42 trillion. Africa's share is US dollars 16 billion. The global business for furniture, entebe z'okutulako, banana, is US dollars 654 billion. Africa's share is 4.86 billion. Not even 10%. Not even 10%. The global business for textiles is US dollars 1 trillion. Africa's share is US dollars 31 billion. The global business of cereals, kasori, bichebi byonna, maize and all that, 1.3 trillion. Africa's share, 275 billion. The global business for milk is US dollars 308 billion. Africa's share is US dollars 18 billion. The global business for fruits is US dollars 6 to 22 billion. Africa's share 56 billion. The global business for electronics is 1 trillion. Africa's share is 82 billion. The global business for electrical equipment is 1.5 trillion. Africa's share is 120 billion. The global business for beef, enyama, is US dollars 414 billion. Africa's share 300 million. Not even 1 billion. Enyama zente z'abanyankole bamwe bawano. Abaganda n'abagamba nti nabo walwente enganda nazuulirako. The global business for fish, 544 billion. Africa's share, 46 billion. It is this that prompts me to ask the question, are there professors of economics in Africa? Of course, it should be the political leaders that should evolve policies about these issues. The question, however, is, if the political actors do not see this hemorrhage, why should the academicians not see it? Are they not supposed to scan the global system so as to what is going on, where and why? Are professors and academicians not supposed to use their knowledge to see what is good or bad for their people? It is a tragedy, I'm telling you. Here in Uganda, we have had to fight the neo-colonial politicians, civil servants, parasitic importing merchants on account of this hemorrhage. Omulimo gwa Africa kusaka. Buli kintu kyonna kya kusaka. Entebe za kusaka. Entebe z'okutuulako. Bagenda ne basaka entebe Dubai. Dubai eddungu ery'omusenyu likola entebe ffe abali mu kibira wano gye tusaka. So we have been through struggle, we have caused vertical integration in some sectors outlined below. Because when we came from the bush, we were clear, we told you, point number 5, build an economy which is independent, integrated, and self-sustaining, exactly solving this problem. But war here within Uganda, opposed by external forces and by internal groups. But still we have moved. On maize, we have moved. We have been able to produce kawunga because we used to get kawunga from Kenya. There was no kawunga here, no maize flour. Animal feeds, and we are targeting starch and ethanol. Milk we have succeeded. Processed liquid milk, ghee, butter, powdered milk, casein proteins, cheese, yogurt. Cotton, textiles, vegetable oil, animal feeds, gunpowder. Africans don't know that gunpowder comes from cotton. Even the scientists at Namronge, where they grow cotton, I asked them, do you know that gunpowder comes from cotton. They didn't know. African market is flooded by dead people's clothes. M30 from the USA and Europe, known as second-hand clothes, thereby exporting money and jobs. Sugarcane, we have been able to produce raw sugar, industrial sugar, ethanol, rum, animal feeds, and electricity. Beef, cattle, we have been able to produce beef, at least we don't import beef. And now we are beginning to produce leather. The other day I opened a leather factory. Fish. We have got 14 factories producing fish fillet. The Nairo Perch Mall is being developed as a big export. These factories had gone to 22, but some had to close because of the bad fishing of fishing young fish. Bananas. Our scientists have moved on the banana flour, banana starch, banana juice, banana wine, banana gin, eyo mujimanyi ndowooza. Eyo sirina kugyogerako nnyo. Waragi. Waragi oyo bamutegeera bannayuganda. Alcohol sanitizers against corona. Zyatuyamba nnyo. Here we have been having a big war with the political class and the bureaucrats over this banana project. Bananas are good for potassium and carbohydrates, apart from vitamin C in ripe bananas, amenvu. Fruits, fresh fruit exports, fruit juice, teju, we are making teju, teso juice. I gave them this name. They wanted to give it another name. I said, no, you call it teso juice. When you see all these cars which are here, Mitsubishi, I don't know what, Toyota, those are human beings in Japan. So these products of ours should get local names so that we sell our country abroad. So Teju is Teso juice. And the leather of Ruero, I will give it a name of Ruero somewhere. I will sit down and give it a proper name. Fruit pulp, I have not heard whether you are producing jam. That one I have not got very well. Sorghum, Omuemba, we are now using it for brewing beer. Pines, MT, ceiling boards, furniture. Until recently, furniture for Uganda, including government departments, was being imported from China, India, Dubai, etc. Imagine that. Entebbe obutebe ezo nazo za kusaka. Mama Janet here had to have a big fight in the Ministry of Education, where they were giving tenders to companies in India to supply chairs for schools. And yet we had people here who were making furniture, but they were not being allowed by these wonderful people. Now, gold refinery. We have got a gold refinery. Finally, we are able to fully process gold. but you are not using it. The gold which is processed in Entebbe, you don't use it to make jewelry. You should make jewelry out of that gold. Limestone, cement blocks, pavers, scrap metal, steel bars, mtaimbwa, steel gate doors, used car batteries, recycled batteries, rubber, car and motorcycle tires, PVC plastics, textiles, blankets, palm oil, soap, cooking oil, sesame seeds, cooking oil, soap manufacture, marble tiles, marble. We get marble tiles and sanitary ware. Clay. We are now making industrial ceramics. These were being imported also. You can imagine. Ceramics just for floors of houses were being imported. Until somebody, a Chinese person, so why do you import these tiles? Why not make them here? You have got the best clay here. Granite, pavers, building blocks, tea leaves. There we have got 31 factories, at least, but they need to be improved. These achievements have been in spite of the stiff opposition we have been facing from the parasites and their foreign backers, such as the Monitor newspaper. To take an example, this paper, on the 22nd of May, 2022, it said in quotes, "Coffee deal stinks." That's what they were saying. Nti entegeka zetulina kumwanyi ziwunya. Bali awo kubanga bw'oyogera omuntu akuli mu maaso kiba kirungi. When you talk about somebody who is there, not backbiting him. Coffee deal stinks, but key culprit will not be punished. Key culprit is myself. I am here. I am abundant here. Let me say Anankwatako. I am the promoter of the tea, of the coffee value addition. Tewali mulala akirimu Yoweri Museveni. Amanya ga Yoweri Museveni mugamanya amalala. Ebyo katubireke tulina abagenyi wano. In other words, Museveni is committing a crime by trying to add value to the Uganda coffee. Since 1986, I've been trying to get investors to add value to our coffee. On the 12th of November 1997, I wrote a letter to the Honorable Mayanja Nkangi to complain about lack of movement on the issue of adding value to coffee. Our farmers, even today, our farmers are paid an equivalent of 70 cents per kilo of low-grade coffee. The same kilogram, when roasted, ground into powder and packaged, it sells for $12.9 in supermarkets. This is the slavery I cannot accept. How can it be that the professors, economics professors of Africa, do not see this? How can it be that the ministries of finance of Africa do not see this? On the 12th of November 1997, I wrote the following letter to the Honorable Mayanja Nkangi, who was our Minister of Finance at that time. It's a long letter, but Maybe you will read it in the paper, but I can read it here. Reference is made to our cabinet meeting of 3rd of November 1997 held in Masaka. In that meeting, I brought to cabinet 3 containers of instant coffee, 1 plastic container with a capacity of 100 grams of blended coffee, Robusta and Arabica, originating from Uganda but processed abroad, was selling at $14. Just 100 grams, not even a kilo. So this letter was saying that at that time, when we get $1, somebody somewhere from a kilo, somebody somewhere in the world gets $70. That's what I was saying in this letter. You will see it in the document when it is published. After that, I engaged the Nestle group in Davos. This group which has got its label on coffee. They made it clear that they already had their factory for coffee processing in the UK and would not build a new one. Hence, we had to remain as the raw material producers, getting only 5% of the value of the coffee we grow. They, moreover, try to muddy the water by claiming that blending of the different coffees can only take place in Europe. We told them that Uganda had all the varieties, and the blending would be done here. That has been the war I've been involved in until I got the Vinci company to help me. The one who monitor was the campaigning, was saying that in Ewunya, tugenda kutegeera Awunya, tugenda mpola mpola tutegeere ani Awunya, arwana ku Uganda oba kati gye tulindako. You heard how some of the MPs were talking in that war. Mwalimu Julius Nyerere had built a coffee processing factory in Bukoba, in Tanzania, near the border of Uganda. When I heard of that, I linked our people with that effort. They were producing an end product known as Star Coffee. Unknown to me, the officials of Uganda allowed that effort to die out, or get stunted. What blindness and betrayal this is. I don't even know what is happening to that factory, the one in Bukoba, because my people pulled away without telling me. To add to the story of coffee, there's the story of iron ore. Uganda has got the purest iron ore of Tare in the world, 70% pure. The nearest is the one of Peru, which is 58% pure. An Indian company, working with some locals, had planned to export this high-grade raw material to India and to be paid US $47 per ton. Out of 1,000 kilograms of this iron ore, when you process it, you get 700 kilograms of steel. A ton of steel at that time was selling at US $550. So you can imagine, here, you Ugandans, you get $47. Somebody goes and gets 550 from your iron ore here. Today, a ton of steel is US $700. I stopped that theft. If I had not stopped that theft, it would have meant that Uganda would be donating money and jobs to the outsiders and would be losing its natural resources and remain perpetually underdeveloped. I cannot be part of this. We have now finally got investors that are ready to build a vertically integrated steel industry that will produce high-grade products that we need for hydropower dams, for high-rise buildings, for the standard gauge railway, and for our automobile and military industries. Each year, Uganda spends US $362 million on the imported steel and steel products. East Africa spends $2.5 billion on steel products if you include automobiles, which consume a lot of steel. Yes, we have 12 factories recycling scrap metal. This scrap steel helps us to get Mtayimbwa steel bars for low-strength buildings. The products of recycled steel cannot, however, be used for high-strength structures such as dams, the standard gauge railway, etc. Hence, the endless hemorrhage. Why should this be tolerated? Why should this be happening in Africa 65 years after Ghana's independence? This crime of donating Africa's resources at a pittance to clever outsiders applies to copper, cobalt, tin, coltan, etc. Any wonder that African youth do not have jobs and must go for semi-slave jobs abroad? Those jobs are donated by African planners to the outsiders. This is the war I've been fighting here in Uganda for the last almost 62 years. I thank those elements in the NRM that seriously support this position. I appeal to all the others to support these liberation efforts. It's a matter of survival and crucial for our prosperity. The second question I want to pose again is the political class in Africa determined to build a Latin America in Africa or a United States of Africa in Africa? This question should have been answered at independence. Mwalimu Nyerere, Nkrumah, Modibo Keita, Sékou Touré, and maybe Lumumba was killed too early, raised this question and tried to answer it in a correct way. Their voices were, however, smothered by the collaborators, and instead the nebulous OAU was created. In the last 500 years, two good laboratories have emerged on the global stage. Two laboratories have emerged on the global stage: Latin America and the North American continent. European populations expanded into the two continents of the Americas that were inhabited by Indians of the West. The European populations came from Spain and Portugal to take over Latin America, and from the UK to take over North America. After 500 years, there is great prosperity in North America and misery and poverty in Latin America. Yet in terms of natural resources, water, forests, agricultural land, minerals, etc., Latin America may be richer than North America. What then accounts for the difference? The difference partly emerged from the political economic organization of the two continents. Latin America is excessively fragmented politically and economically, comprised of 12 countries, and if you include the Caribbean, the total number of countries rises to 25. The North American continent, on the other hand, is comprised of only 3 countries: Mexico, the USA, and Canada. The USA is a 3 million square miles unit with a population of 332 million people. It is that big market that stimulated the growth of the USA economy. It is not easy to be a successful business person in Honduras, population 10 million. El Salvador, population 6 million. Panama, population 4 million, etc., etc. On account of the smaller populations. In Latin America, they never even attempted to form a common market like the one of Europe. A common market, however, would not be free of problems of discordance. You have seen Britain walking out of that body, and we have seen the tensions with Hungary, Serbia, etc. Hence, the best formula, if possible, so as to create a framework for guaranteeing prosperity of people, is the USA formula, which entails both political and economic integration. Here in Africa, it points to the creation of the political federations, like the ones of East Africa. Such a federation would not only guarantee the prosperity of the people through a big market, it would also guarantee offtake for producers of goods and services, but it would also ensure strategic security of people. Nobody could dare to threaten their security. They would ensure their 4-dimensional strategic security on land, in the air, at sea, and in space. It would also deal with the problem of the suppressed fraternity of the African peoples. The 54 countries of Africa created by colonialism do not pay the slightest attention to the 4 linguistic groups of Africa. The 4 are the Niger-Congo, the Nilo-Saharan, the Afro-Asiatic, and the Khoisan. These are the 4 clusters of nations based on language. Obviously, the 54 countries do not pay attention to this. Hence, here in East Africa, you find the Interacustrian Bantus of this area are scattered in Uganda, Congo, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, and Kenya. Yet these are peoples whose dialects are mutually intelligible. Some months ago, at Munyonyo, I found a group of young people seated. When I engaged them, I found they were Kenyans. Of course, it is not easy to know who is a Kenyan and who is a Ugandan by looking at them. You have to ask them. I then asked one of them, a girl, what her name was. Her answer was Kwambuka. Her name was Kwambuka. Eh? Kwambuka. Where do you come from? Was my next question. Her answer, Kisii. Kisii in Kenya, the land of His Excellency, Dr. Ruto. Then my next question was, what does Kwambuka mean in Kisii? I asked the young lady. The answer, it means crossing a river or a valley. The young lady answered. That is exactly what it means in the Runyaktara dialects. You can't believe it. It is not only the Interacustrian Bantu that are fragmented in these countries. How about our Luos in South Sudan, Congo, Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, and Tanzania? The Kalenjin, Uganda, South Sudan, and Kenya. And the Ateke, South Sudan, Congo, Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, and Tanzania. When you talk of the Luo, you are talking of the Alurs, Achoris, Langis, Japadola, Luos, Anuak in Ethiopia, Kumam. When you talk of the Kalenjin, you are talking of the Sabine, Pokot, Nandis, Kipsigis, etc. When you talk of the Ateke, you are talking of the Kakwaz, the Bari, the Topotha, the Turkana, the Karamojong, the Itoset, etc. Where do the Masai belong? Are they Ateke or Kalenjin? Help the author, please. However, I know that they are certainly Nairo-Hamitic. In the case of East Africa, we have the added value, added bonus in the form of the fraternity of the Swahili language speakers. It has therefore been long, ever since the NRM and its precursors started supporting the struggle for the realization of the dream of the East African Federation. If we had achieved that by 1963, as the elders had intended, this part of the world would be very far. Some of the political elite let down Africa in 1963 by frustrating that effort. If that federation had been launched in 1963, you can be sure that Idi Amin would never have taken power in Uganda. There would have been no genocide in Rwanda or the killings in Burundi. Congo would have stabilized long ago. The problems of South Sudan would have been solved much earlier, and the problem of Somalia may not have turned out the way it did. Even today, the sort of problems we are facing would be easily solved. Take the problem, and I'm glad His Excellency Ruto spoke on this. Take the problem of high food prices, for instance. A few years ago, Uganda produced 5 million tons of maize. Uganda consumed only 1 million tons because Ugandans have other foods. It is only institutions and the animal feeds manufacturers that use maize. There was therefore a surplus of 4 million tons, which had no market in East Africa on account of the non-tariff barriers, protectionism. The prices collapsed, and the farmers in Uganda walked away from growing maize. Only now to be told that there is a big demand for maize, and even people are dying. The store of maize is the same as the store of milk, sugar, rice. Some Ugandans wanted me to stop Tanzanian rice. Please, I would not do that. If the Tanzanians are growing rice more cheaply, let them grow it and you buy from them. And if you want, you can apply and you shift and go and ask the Tanzanian government to allow you to do rice in Tanzania. In my opinion, East Africans will be better off if the most efficient East African producers are encouraged so that the whole of the region benefits. Recently, I was told of some attempts to block rice from Tanzania in order to protect the inefficient rice growers of Uganda. I could not accept such blindness. Why? First of all, punish Ugandans to consume expensive rice while Tanzanian brothers can produce cheaper rice. The other blindness is that you should remember that if you block Tanzanian rice, Tanzania will also block something else from Uganda, where they need the future of prosperity for our region. Why block East African products and open our markets for subsidized goods from Europe, China, Brazil, etc.? Those should be the ones to be blocked because they are unfairly selling in our market. Foreign governments subsidize goods versus our unsubsidized goods. If you allow subsidized Brazilian products to kill the market for Uganda's sugar in East Africa, what return benefits will East Africa get from Brazil? What does Brazil give you in return? East Africa is a potential superpower of the League of India or China. If we integrate economically and politically, assisted fortunately by the Swahili language, which is part of the heritage of this area. If our economics professors wake up and see the hemorrhage the NRM revolutionaries have been seeing ever since the 1960s on account of only producing raw materials, and the political class determines not to build a Latin America in Africa, but instead build a United States of Africa in Africa, a very prosperous and secure future for Africa would be ensured. In spite of the missed opportunities in the East African region, and in spite of so many avoidable mistakes that were committed by different actors, Uganda finally stabilized and started not only growing, but also undergoing socio-economic transformation ever since 1986. The small independence enclave colonial economy of 1962, of the 3 Cs and 3 Ts, had by 1986 shrunk by 25%. The 3 Cs were coffee, cotton, and copper, and the 3 Ts were tobacco, tea, and tourism. By 1986, all the 3 Cs had disappeared except coffee, that was still limping on. All the 3 Ts had disappeared except tobacco, which was still limping on. Having lost 24 years, because you are talking of 60 years, actually you should be talking of 36 years. Because 24 of the 60 years were lost. Having lost 24 years of the 60 years, the NRM, our movement, had fortunately had many years of clarifying our ideological, philosophical, and strategic position on almost all issues of society and economy. We had already distilled our 4 principles of patriotism, Pan-Africanism, socio-economic transformation, and democracy. To realize the 4 principles, we put forward the 10 points program, out of which point number 5 was the one guiding us to build an integrated, independent, and self-sustaining national economy that rejected the slave role of confining ourselves to producing raw materials. The principle of patriotism struck a blow at the politics of identity, sectarianism of religion and tribes, and pushed forward the politics of legitimate interests of the people. That is why, ever since 1989, the NRM always won all elections by absolute majority in both popular votes and the electoral colleges on the first round. We have never had a second round here. And I congratulate His Excellency Ruto for winning on the first round. In the 1962 independence elections, no party could win by absolute majority because they had fragmented the electorate in sectarian groups that could never attract broad support. Guided by our principle of Pan-Africanism, when we won power, we worked with Mzee Hassan Mwinyi, Mzee Benjamin Mkapa, Mzee Daniel Arap Moi, supported by Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, who was still alive at that time, to revive the East African community, which was re-inaugurated on the 30th of November, 1999. Guided by the same principles, we stood with the African brothers in South Africa, Namibia, South Sudan, Rwanda, Burundi, Somalia, etc. It is this principle that educates us not to aim at building a Latin America in Africa, but building a United States of Africa in Africa, to ensure the prosperity of our people and the strategic security of Africa. Our belief in patriotism and Pan-Africanism enabled us to build a strong national army for the first time since the collapse of the Bourgeois Empire around the year 1500 AD. This is partly on account of the ideology of anti-sectarianism. We do not look at soldiers with sectarian lenses, but with soldiership and ideological lenses for patriotism. That is how we were able to build an army that could go for so long and anywhere for either no pay or low pay. This strong army has been always backed by a vast structure of popular support in the form of the RCs, resistance councils, diluted by the politicians to LOCs. They didn't like resistance. They changed it to that they are local. I also kept quiet. This peace architecture has enabled the economy to recover and thrive. By the end of last financial year, the size of the economy was $45 billion, having grown from $1.5 billion in 1986. The economy had therefore expanded 30 times since 1986, and we had entered the lower end of the middle income status with a per capita GDP of US dollars 1,046. This was in spite of the population growing from 14 million in 1986 to 43 million now. We could have achieved more if it was not for the obstructions we normally get from careerist politicians and administrators or neo-colonial agents. One of the big mistakes has been the refusal by the careerist political administrative class to transform the pre-capitalist traditional society into a food secure and commercially active class with a chibaro, a sabu, looking for the most remunerative enterprises compared to the family land size and generally getting involved in the money economy by the whole society. This is in spite of the guidance we have been giving the country ever since 1995, when I made a countrywide tour giving facts of what can be done after I had carried out successful transformation in the cattle corridor. On account of this negligence by the political and administrative classes, by 2013, the homesteads that were still in the subsistence sector were 68%, having been 96% in 1969. That is when I involved the Army in the form of OW, Operation Wealth Creation. The figures show that there has been a decline in the homesteads that still work for the stomach. With the parish development model and the Myoga, not forgetting the bigger industrialization and modernization programs, we are sure to finally involve all the homesteads in the money economy. We have sent money to the parish circles and to the Myoga. This is going to unleash massive production of food, beverages, other raw materials that must be processed by factories. Moreover, agriculture will now be firmly anchored on irrigation. Therefore, the erraticness of production in agriculture is over. This in turn means the damage to the water bodies must stop, because we need the water for irrigation. Out of the 60 million acres of Uganda, 8.9 million are covered by water bodies and wetlands. And assuming we have forests covering 30% of the country, that would leave us 15.3 million acres for agriculture. If 10 million acres were used for intensive agriculture of the 4 acres model, that would give us 2.5 million small farms. In the Ruengaju area, our small-scale farmers using only 1 acre are employing 15 people per farm. Using this conservative figure, the 2.5 million small farms would employ 37.5 million people. Assuming the other 5 million acres were for medium-scale farming, using farms of 100 acres each, we should have 50,000 farms. This, in addition to the intensive agricultural activities of the small farms, would use extensive agriculture to produce maize, sugarcane, cotton, tea, tobacco, etc., products that only make economic sense when they are produced on a large scale. These would create their own jobs All this is just in agriculture. How about industry, manufacturing? How about services? How about ICT? The problem, therefore, is not jobs. The problem is the neo-colonial thinking that is always off the point and not able to understand the strong potential of Africa. Now that we have solved the problem of electricity, we are moving full steam on all the opportunities of the value addition in agro-processing, fruit processing, animal feeds for maize, cassava flour and starch, banana flour and starch, ethanol from different sources, etc., paper from forest products, ceiling boards from forest products, vertically integrated steel industry, food processing of copper, fertilizer industry from our phosphates, the pathogenic economy of vaccines and pharmaceuticals, and the diagnostics and sanitizers, and the knowledge industry of automobiles and electronics, as you saw here, these which are already being made here. With our East African brothers and sisters, the sky is the limit. Recently, I'm about to finish Mnange miaka nkaga. 60 years, please, muzikirize, allow me. Munikubali miaka 60, sio kitu rahisi. Wacha nitoa maneno yote. Recently, there was yet another manifestation of imperialistic arrogance and hegemonism by elements in the European Parliament, whereby they decreed from Brussels that East African crude pipeline should not be constructed until those arrogant actors permit us to do so. Parasitic elements from that part of the world have been causing problems for Africa and the world for the last 500 years. It all started with 1453 AD, when the Turkish Ottomans captured Constantinople and blocked the land route for Europe to the east for trade in silk, spices, etc. The Europeans, led by Portugal, legitimately started looking for an alternative sea route to the east to outflank the blockade, partly due to our internal weaknesses caused by the bankrupt tribal chiefs. What started as a search for alternative route to the east soon became a mega slave trading phenomenon: colonialism, exploitation, looting, and genocide in Africa, Asia, and the Americas. By 1900, the whole of Africa had been colonized except for Ethiopia. However, soon the Africans and other colonized peoples reorganized and launched a massive anti-colonial movement in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the struggle for equal rights by the black nation in the USA. The African National Congress was founded in South Africa in 1912. By 1994, the arrogant imperialists were defeated in South Africa. Earlier on, the colonized peoples had achieved victories in Indonesia, India, Indochina, Mozambique, Kenya, Algeria, Angola, Guinea-Bissau, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and the whole of Africa, either through armed struggle or through peaceful mass struggle. 1994, with the liberation of South Africa, should have marked the end of imperialist arrogance and meddling in the affairs of their former victims. However, some elements are incorrigible, as you can see from this resolution. The patriotic forces in the world are, however, much stronger, and the patriotic forces in Uganda are much stronger and very capable in all dimensions. The imperialists use the mistakes and the weakness of Africa. Otherwise, Africa is invincible, as was shown by the victories in Mozambique, Angola, and Zimbabwe. East Africans, therefore, should not worry about those arrogant people, that those arrogant people can stop the oil project in East Africa. If any actor tries to delay our project, we shall decisively deal with that betrayal according to the relevant laws. We shall develop all the aspects of the project with willing partners. Initially, I was not interested in the pipeline. I was only interested in the refinery to produce petrol, diesel, aviation fuel for East African market. It is Total who insisted, even when Uganda had to give away US dollars 20.7 per barrel to use the pipeline. In the end, we support the pipeline because it contributes something modest to our Tanzanian sisters and brothers who, under Mwalimu's leadership, contributed so much to Africa, including Uganda, in the anti-colonialism effort. Besides, the pipeline corridor provided by the Tanzanian government will bring to us gas from Tanzania and Mozambique because our gas resources are not that big. We need gas for fertilizer manufacture, to produce chemicals, etc. Therefore, down with the imperialists' parasitic measures. However, Africa should know that even during the anti-colonial struggle, we had progressive whites that were on our side. Lord Fenner Brockway, Sir Dingo Foot, Professor George Shepard, etc. worked with Mzee Msazi in our anti-colonial struggle. Even today, there are progressive forces in Western Europe who can work for the common good of humanity, who are not part of white chauvinism. We shall seek them out. Most importantly, the oil project and other projects are unstoppable. The NRM has always had a correct philosophical, ideological, and strategic grasp of all issues. Nothing can derail us, in spite of the good movement in the world to curb the emissions of the greenhouse gases and move away from oil as fuel for cars. Our oil will remain valuable. We shall still need the oil for textiles like the shirt I normally put on. It is 65% polyester, which is from oil. We need hydrocarbons for fertilizer, nitrogen, for plastics, for tar, for our roads. As you saw, we are moving on the electric vehicles, electric pikipikis, using hydrogen for steel manufacture, etc. However, our oil will remain useful for other non-polluting purposes. All living things have carbon in them. Carbon is not a problem. The problem has been greed of foreigners who jump from this to that looking for money without careful and honest study. Before the coming of foreigners, Africa was using solar energy, wind energy, etc. for drying things, processing millet, and using carbon for blacksmithing in a controlled way. With the more understanding of natural laws, science, if we would do away with greed, all these products can be used safely and sustainably. When oil will no longer be needed for driving cars, it will serve us longer for use for other purposes. I thank everybody. In particular, I thank their excellencies, His Excellency Ndayishimiye, President of Burundi and Chairman of the East African Community, His Excellency Salva Kiir Mayardit, President of South Sudan, His Excellency Sheikh Mohamud, President of the Republic of Somalia, His Excellency William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Dr. Ali Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar, and the Chairman of the Revolutionary Council representing the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, His Excellency Ebua Jean-Pierre, Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Public Service of DRC, and His Excellency Professor Manasi Nshuti, Minister of State for East African Affairs, representing the Republic of Rwanda, and Dr. Peter Mathuku, Secretary General of the East African Community, and Honorable Sadio Kamara, Minister of Defense of the Republic of Mali, for honoring us by positively responding to my invitation to be with us on this occasion. This is part of Undugu. Thank you so much. Ambassador, have you survived the speech? Muchariwo katonda yebazigo oba muonye speech eno. Asante sana kama kuvumilia hii hotuba ndefu kiasi hiki. 30 pages. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
To you, sir.
Mheshimiwa Rais, huo ndio mwisho ya gwaride. Naomba kupaa bendera uwanjani, Mheshimiwa Rais.
Should we? Ejakait. Ejakait ukurol. Thank you. Thank you.
Parade Commander hands over to his second in command.
Stop. Kwa madaraka.
E alama noi e jakait kano okirol. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we thank all of you that have taken time to join us as we celebrate 60 years of Uhuru, 60 years of independence. The first 24 years, Your Excellency, we were counting 9 presidents. Our colleagues, neighbors were counting 2 or 3. Today they have reached 5, 4. I think we can wait for them to catch up with 9. Then we can move next forward. We thank God. We thank God for assigning you to lead this country the way you have done. We praise Him for the stability, and we thank God for our good neighbors that are working towards the East African Federation. Their Excellencies, our guests, are starting to depart, and the first to leave will be the President of South Sudan, His Excellency General Salva Kiir Mayardad. His Excellency Mayadit will be followed by the President of Burundi, His Excellency Sylvestre Ndayishimiye.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the First Lady, Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, visiting heads of the East African region and beyond, allow me to thank you and our visitors for attending these celebrations. Your Excellency, permit me to briefly recognize a visiting delegation led by Honorable Samuel Chepkonga and Senator Margaret Kamau, together with 8 other delegates who attended the National Prayer Breakfast. Your Excellency, at this juncture, you and our visitors were also joined by the following VIPs who should stand up for recognition. Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, His Lordship, the Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the Vice Chairman of the NRM Party, Right Honorable Prime Minister, Right Honorable Second Deputy Prime Minister, Right Honorable Third Deputy Prime Minister, the NRM Secretary General, Honorable members of Honorable Ministers and Ministers of State. Your Excellency, the departure procedure will be as follows. Burundi, followed by South Sudan, Somalia third, South Sudan, Somalia, and Kenya. Bapak Presiden. Burundi, South Sudan, Somalia, Kenya, Malawi. South Sudan is leaving
can call Somalia.
Somalia. Kenya Somalia is leaving. Next is Kenya. Kenya is leaving. Next is Tanzania. Next is Tanzania. Okay. Next is Democratic Republic of Congo. Tanzania is leaving. Next is the Democratic Republic of Congo. Next is DRC. DRC is leaving. Next is Rwanda. Rwanda is leaving. Next is the Secretary General of the East African Community. Next is the Secretary General of the East African Community. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, lives at leisure. Next is Mali. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda is leaving. Thank you, Excellency, the President, and Mama, the First Lady, for gracing this function. God bless you, Excellency. God bless Mama, the First Lady. God bless Uganda. God bless East Africa and Africa at large. I want to thank Her Excellency the Vice President for participating, the Right Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Vice Chairman of the NRM Party, the Honourable Prime Minister, the Second Deputy Prime Minister, the Third Prime Minister, the NRM Secretary General, Honourable Cabinet Ministers and Ministers of State, Honourable Members of Parliament, Mzee Zibasukulu, thank you so much.
We are now on the ground in Kololo, coming to the climax moments of the celebrations marking 60 years of Uganda independence. We are now seeing the convoys recessing from the ground in the order in which they came. We have seen delegations from other countries that have been taking part in the participation of this function marking 60 years of Uganda independence from the ceremonial grounds here in Kololo. We started in the morning at around 8 up to now, and we're now seeing the climax of the function. Now, the President of Uganda is among the last delegations now, groups leaving. As you can see, his vehicles in my background. Now, in his speech, the President raised a number of issues of interest and concern to Uganda as we mark 60 years. One of the things that the President raised is the progress of Uganda and generally Africa as we move in the next 50 years. He talks about the exploitation that Africa and Uganda has seen, the injustices, economic injustices that Africa has seen, including sending raw materials from Africa, which to him said were giving jobs to the rest of the world. He also talked about the oil project, and he assured Ugandans that this project will continue, even with some concerns and some sabotage from some quarters of the globe. Actually, he cited some groups from Africa, but also from Europe. But the President was categorical, saying that even in Europe we still have people who believe and support the African cause, and we shall still move on with the oil project pipeline. Now, in the audience today, we received, like I said earlier, 5 heads of state. I did in the beginning mention that we had the president of Congo. Apparently, it was not the president of Congo, but it was the vice prime minister of Congo who represented the president of Congo today. But we had the president of South Sudan, President Salva Kiir. We had the president of Somalia, President Hassan Mohamud. We had the president of Zanzibar, actually, who represented the president of the United Republic of Tanzania, Hassan Mwinyi. We also had the president of Burundi, who came also to participate in this year's celebrations for Uganda, marking 60. President Ndayis, president of Burundi. We also had delegations coming from Mali, which were, the group was led by the Mali Minister for Defense, and Rwanda also with the Minister of Rwanda. We are now winding up with Kololo, and on behalf of the team which was on ground, on the cameras and the control, we now hand you back to Broadcasting House on Nile Avenue. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you. Continue back with our usual programming. Don't go away. Thank you.
Is born again, free and independent.
Independence Day in Uganda is celebrated on 9th October every year. This event holds an important position in the history of Uganda as it marks the country's freedom from their former colonial master. Uganda has made significant strides in 59 years. Agriculture remains the main thrust of Uganda's economic growth. Increased employment and growth opportunities, direct and indirect jobs within the ICT sector. The total number of referral hospitals has increased to 181.